turn right onto Bowman Road. Take the next right onto Bowman Road.
Hey y'all, so I really hate that this phone holder is so close to me because I feel like the camera is
In 800
right up.
feet, turn left onto Bear
I don't know
Avenue.
why I'm in this bad. I really hate the fact that the holder is so close because I feel like it's just like right up in my face, too close. But anyway, so I've been on y'all this insurance video for quite a while, but before I get into the insurance piece of the video, I want to give y'all an update on the weekend job. So today I started day one of the first day of my weekend job. I told you I went through a temp agency to get a weekend job because it's hard finding something just weekends. Like if I was to be hired directly through the company that I'm working for as a temp, it would be like their weekend shift is either Thursday through Sunday or Saturday through Tuesday. So but when you come in through the temp agency, you can work just Saturday and Sunday. So I met another lady there. This is her second weekend, and she's from Baltimore too, and she just recently moved in the area. I think she said a few months ago, and she's there. But we both said that we're going to do it day by day, because I don't know if I'm just not cut out for the warehouse life, which the work isn't hard. The work itself isn't hard, and because you're constantly working, the time flies by because the shift is 6 to 4:30. So the time didn't drag. The time went by fast. It was a lot cleaner. They're big on safety, they're big on cleanliness, and they're big on stretching. So in the morning, at our morning meeting kickoff or whatever it is, they make you do a series. You have to do a series of stretches. And it, I thought it was going to be really hot in there. It wasn't hot. It was actually cold, and she was freezing too. So it's like a big fan that's pointed at our workstation, and then it's ones over top of our workstation. But the trainer, she turned all three. She turned my fan off. She turned the girl's fan off, and she turned off the other big fan that's pointing towards our workstation. It was still cold. But they have a lovely cafe. It's big. So for one, when you go in there, it's really big and bright and colorful. It's big and bright and colorful in the building itself. Then in the lunchroom, it's huge. It's clean. They have several microwaves. They have a toaster oven. It's just really nice. It's not what I would think when I think warehouse. And it's funny because I was just sitting, I was thinking while I was at work earlier, and I'm like, it's really not many industries I haven't worked in at this point. I've worked in so many different industries, and some of them I worked on, multiple sides of the same industry. But yeah, so like I said, the work isn't hard, it's the hours, and I have not been able to sleep. I haven't slept good now in maybe 2 weeks or a little over a week. So with me having one job that requires me to get up so early during the week, and then having another job that requires me to get up so early during the week and not being able to sleep, like when I come in between my shifts during the week, I try to take a nap, I'll lay there and I just cannot fall asleep. And then at night I fall asleep, but like I have my alarm set for 5:15 during the week to go to, you know, the school transportation job, and I wake up in the 4 o'clock hour. The other day I woke up in the 3 o'clock hour, and then I'm not able to go back to sleep once I wake up. No matter how hard I'll try, I just lay there until the alarm goes off, but I'm not sleeping. Then with this job, this morning, I had my alarm set for 5 o'clock, and I woke up in the 4 o'clock hour again, and I was unable to go back to sleep. So I don't know if it's going to be sustainable. I think around like maybe the 4-hour mark at this job, my back was on fire, and it's just, you know, from the standing. So, you know, just standing and being tired and standing, you know, my back was on fire. And then my legs, they weren't really hurting, but they did feel like they were swelling. I don't think they're swollen, but they felt like they were swelling. So yeah, I don't know. But when I went on my lunch break, and you know, I sat down, I was able to sit down, and I had something to drink. It wasn't, you know, when I came back from lunch, my back wasn't hurting, and my legs, for the most part, I think they felt fine. But then, like maybe 2 more hours in, my back was on fire again. So I don't know. I'll see day by day. I'm off next, so you know, I work tomorrow, and I'm headed out now. So hopefully, you know, I'm driving down to Baltimore. I'm going to a party, and hopefully I'm not exhausted tomorrow. But I work tomorrow, and then I'm off next Saturday. So that, and I thought I was off tomorrow. The temp agency told me they were closed tomorrow, but they are not closed. So we do work tomorrow. So I work tomorrow. I'm off next Saturday. Not due back in there till next Sunday. So that gives me a week to decide if it's going to. Oh, this is what I meant to say. So that gives me a week to decide if I'm going to be able to do this or not. But this is the thing. So what I was thinking while I was in there, I'm like, you know, I'm putting in 10 hours Saturday and Sunday at this job. But I was like, what would it look like if just one of those days, like a Saturday maybe, I put in 10 hours with my business, piece of the puzzle. I might be able to bring in more money than I'm doing standing on my feet for 10 hours a day. So I got some things to think about, because like I said, I don't know if any of this makes sense. But if I have 10 straight hours that I can, twice a weekend, that I can put in at a job, I might be able to put in 10 hours one day out of the weekend for my business. So I got some things to consider. You know, I don't know. I don't know. Like I told you on the last video. Oh, I'm glad I mentioned the last video. Like I told you on the last video, I don't know what any of this looks like. I don't know where any of this is going to land me. I don't know anything. but we're going to find out together. Now, something that I forgot to mention in my last video. So when I started the job that I was miserable at, my eye, both of my eyes, but mostly my right eye, I looked like a cyclops because I stayed at my mother's house that first night. Because, you know, like I said, she was watching Neighborhood Insurance, baby. So I stayed at her house just to make things a little easier that first day. And I, over the years, have developed a cat allergy. Or maybe it's just because it's multiple cats, and she have two. I don't know. But no, it's not just she have two, because sometimes Neighborhood Insurance baby will come home with just a slight bit of cat hair on him, and it would cause a reaction. But anyway, when I first started that job, I looked like a cyclops. My eye was a mess. Both eyes were irritated, but my left eye, I'm sorry. My left eye was like swollen and big. It was a mess. So then I started the school transportation job, and that same eye was a hot mess again. I looked like Cyclops again. I had like a star or something in my eye. I was having some kind of reaction. Well, I definitely had a star. And that same eye was a swollen mess. And I'm like, I hope this is not a sign, right? And I put on my Facebook page, I said, I'm starting to think I'm allergic to jobs, because when I started my last job, you know, and I just explained, you know, I said on the status basically what I just said in this video. And somebody commented and said, no, you're just allergic. You're allergic to the BS that come along with these jobs, and I hope you find something that aligns with you, aligns with your purpose, aligns with, you know, all of that. So that was a good comment. And then somebody else said, maybe it's a sign, because I said I hope it's not a sign. Like, I hope it's not a sign that this job is going to be just as miserable as the last job, right? So what happened, she commented and she said, maybe it's a sign that you're doing what you have to do for now, but not to take your eyes off the bigger picture and your purpose. And when I say that resonated, like, that it resonated. I completely can, you know, I think I needed to hear that comment. I'm doing what I have to do for now, but not to take my eye off the bigger purpose. So I actually screenshotted that comment and I made it my cover photo on Facebook. So I meant to mention that in the last video, and I didn't. But see, I'm getting off topic because this video was supposed to be about insurance. So I want to cover the things that you need to have ready, in hand, memorized, just whatever you need to have a successful life insurance appointment. Now, I'm not saying being prepared with these things will result in your application being approved. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there are types of applications. There are times when a life insurance application can be long. But typically, if the client is prepared, a life insurance application, especially a simple one that's not real, involved in all of that, it should take about 30-40 minutes tops. not across the board. It's not a one size fit all, but I have had life insurance applications that should have taken 30 minutes turn into an hour. So to avoid that for yourself and your agent, I'm going to tell you the things that you need to have ready in order to have a successful appointment where the agent doesn't have to call you back. You know, you don't have to call her back. This one life insurance application doesn't have to take 3 days to complete. You're not calling people, putting the agent on hold to get this information. You know, the company is not saying, you know, the customer has this amount of time to get this information back to us, or we're going to, you know, cancel out the app and they got to start over. So this is just what you need to do the application and have things go smooth. For one, and forgive me if I forget some things, I'll correct it on the next video if need be, because I told you I'm exhausted. So you need the social security number of everyone that you're doing a life insurance application on. So, for instance, if you're a wife and you're taking out a life insurance policy on your husband, you need his social. You need your social if you're going to be the owner of the policy. You need his permission. You need so you'll need the socials for the person that the insurance is, the life insurance policy, the coverage is going to be on. You need the social of the owner. You need dates of birth for both. You need driver's license numbers for, or a driver's license number. See, I'm sleepy. Driver's license number or a state issued ID number for anyone over the age of 18 who you're applying for insurance for, as well as yourself. If you're the owner of if the owner of the policy is someone other than the person that the insurance is going to be on, you need some things you need for yourself and for the person you're applying for the coverage for. You will need to know. Oh, and if the person is over 18 and they do not have a driver's license, some of the companies will want to know why and how they get around. So it's best to have that information, the answer to that question, ready up front. You will need to know the occupation and the yearly salary. Some companies ask monthly, some companies ask yearly, some companies ask both. You would need to know the occupation, the name of the employer, the occupation. Some companies don't ask for the name of the employer, some just ask the occupation, and their yearly, monthly, or both income. You will need to know now the occupation and the ID number, and some of these things only apply to people 18 and older. You will need to know their doctor's name, the doctor's phone number or the name of the medical facility. Some companies ask for the address. phone number. The last time the person has seen a doctor. You will need to know any medications the person is on. You will need to know any conditions that the person is diagnosed with. You will need to know the onset of those conditions, well, at least when they were diagnosed with those conditions. Some of them get a little more involved, like have they had any overnight hospital stays in a certain amount of years? This is stuff, that they're going to ask. So if you can have the answers to those questions in advance, that, would be best. You will need to know if the person is a tobacco smoker or not. Some companies only ask about tobacco. Some companies ask about tobacco and marijuana. Some companies, if they ask about marijuana, some may want to know how frequently they partake. If the person was a smoker, tobacco, and they're no longer a tobacco smoker, you will need to know when they stop smoking tobacco. You will need if you're applying for coverage for someone other than yourself, and you're going to be the owner of the policy, you will need an email address for yourself, and you will need an email address for them, 2 separate email addresses. You will need to know the name and date of birth, and with some companies, the address of any beneficiaries. Most companies don't ask for the social of the beneficiary, but you will need to know an address, a phone number, date of birth for the beneficiary. If you're naming a minor child as a beneficiary and you intend for a portion of the money to be used for your burial and not just for them to have, when they turn 18, then you would need to name a contingent beneficiary that can get part or all of the money. If you were to pass away, or whoever the insurance is, let's just say, I'm gonna just use the wife and husband analogy again. This time I'll say the husband. So let's just say you're a husband and you're getting coverage on your wife, and you're not naming yourself as the beneficiary. You're the owner, but you're only naming the children as the beneficiary. And God forbid your wife passes away and the children aren't of age yet. You as the owner can get the money. But let's just say you're getting coverage on your child. No, let's just say you're getting coverage on yourself, and you name your minor children as beneficiaries, and none of them are 18 or over in the event of your passing, and you don't name a contingent beneficiary, the money will just sit there until they turn 18. It'll go into a trust. So if you're naming minor children as the beneficiary, and you intend for some of the money to be used to either take care of them when you're gone, or for them to have, money, or a portion of it to be used for your burial, you would need to name a contingent beneficiary, someone who can get part or all of the money, and you would need to have that name, date of birth, address, phone number. You also need bank account information for whoever is going to be paying for the policy. And most of the companies are very strict when it comes to, so there are a few companies that allow you to make your very first payment using a credit card. There may be a handful to let you make your monthly payments using a card as well. Like more like you need to be a debit card, but there are a handful of companies that allow you to do that. But in most cases, they want you to use your routing and account number. And I think there may be 2 companies that I know of, and a fellow agent told me that these companies accept this, but majority of the companies, how like with Cash App or like Chime or some of the other like online banking institutions where it's not like a physical branch, it's just like like Cash App, for instance, they'll give you a routing and account number, and you can use that for direct deposits, or you can use that for bill pay. Most insurance companies don't accept that. It has to be an actual physical bank, like a Bank of America, M&T, Wells Fargo. They don't accept the routing and account number from Cash App and many of the other type institutions like that. You would need to know if it's checking or savings. You would need the routing number and the account number. I think I pretty much covered it all. It may sound like a lot, but it's really not. A lot of it is the same information that you would provide with just about any, for any kind of financial transaction, except, the doctor's info and all of that. But those are pretty much it. I can't really think of anything else at the moment. And if any of you can watch this video and you think of anything that I missed, please leave it in the comment section for other people to see. Oh, you will definitely need the correct address for whoever you're applying for life insurance for, as well as yourself. And you would need the correct email address as well, because especially if, like, for instance, with me, I can't tell you the last time I've sat in person and did a life insurance application. Probably 2018, maybe 2019. In person to do a life insurance application. I know I do, over the phone, Zoom, stuff like that. But so when that, you know, and a lot of agents do theirs like that. So when we're not in person, you're sent a link to your email to sign your email serves as your signature. You get a link, you go in, you do everything, you sign it, stuff like that. So it's very important that not only does like if the owner and the insured are two different people, not only does everyone need to have their own separate email address, it's very important to make sure it's the correct email address. So it's really not a lot, but just having all of those things handy makes the application process a lot smoother. Also, just a reminder, and I've covered this in many different videos, I tell my clients, and everybody is going to do what works best for them, but if you know that you're not going to print out a copy of your policy and put it somewhere where someone is going to be able to find it, say no when the question is asked, do you want e-delivery of your policy? Because in the event of a passing and that policy is not somewhere tangible where your loved ones can put their hands on it, especially if they don't know you have it or don't know your agent or don't know what company you have a policy with, it's just sitting in your email, but it's holding up things. It's not doing your family any good just sitting in your email. So if you know you're not going to print it out and have it where it can be found, say no to the e-delivery. That's one. Another thing that I always say is, even if you don't do e-delivery, if they you allow the company to mail you a copy of your policy, make sure someone knows where to find your policy documents. Make sure your loved ones know where to find your policy documents, and make sure your beneficiaries are updated. Make sure your beneficiary is updated. If your beneficiary passes away, becomes incapacitated, goes to jail, you no longer like them or trust them, think they would keep the money and not do anything that makes them no longer a viable beneficiary, make sure you update your beneficiaries. So I think I covered everything. I'm gonna go ahead and end this video, and until next time, it's Neighborhood Insurance Lady. I'm wishing you love, laughter, pieces of the puzzle, and your children being transported to and from school safely. Talk to you soon.